Hi there, thanks for joining us for today's video. Please make sure that you click subscribe to keep up to date with all of our content. This will include short how-to videos, webinars and demonstrations of all of our products. Check out the links in the description below to check out any content related to today's video, and we hope that you enjoy it. Today we're going to be looking at the aphasia page set within Snap Quickfires. My name's Alice Langley. I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Toby Dynavox. And today I'm going to take you through the aphasia page set. So I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction, and then I'm going to do a live demo just to show you kind of what it looks like in real life. So the aphasia page set is being built specifically to support those that have aphasia. So this includes a bunch of tools, including visual scenes, a whiteboard, a rating scale, and all of this with the idea to support that multimodal communication, which we know is really, really vital for those that have aphasia. So I'm just going to take you through each of these tools just to give you a bit of an idea of what they are and why we use them. So the first tool that we've got, so you'll notice that for those of you that are familiar with Snap Quickfires, that the layout kind of looks fairly similar. So you've got your toolbar on the side, and this is going to give you access to your different tools. And this is where it's going to differ slightly from the Snap Quickfires page set. So the tools are going to be slightly different as they are specifically designed for those with aphasia. So the first tool that we're going to look at is this word list menu. And the idea with this is that it's going to support our AAC users to find and use the words that they need to use. And we know that fringe vocabulary, so these kind of categories of words, mostly kind of items and places and names, are often quite difficult for people with aphasia. So the idea is that what we've done is we've grouped them into different categories to make it a little bit easier for people to find them and then use them. The next tool that we've got is our Quickfires. So these Quickfires are going to be kind of short words or phrases that are going to allow us to engage in social interactions. So whether it's to maintain a conversation, to start one, and to engage in a conversation. And so all the messages in the Quickfires are adult orientated and very specific to people with aphasia. So we've really tried to have a look at what does this kind of client group need, and what do they need to be able to talk about? And we've made sure that we've put as much of that in there as possible. One of the topics that we've included within Quickfires is one called My Aphasia, which allows our user to advocate for themselves. And we'll dig into that a little bit in the demo. What you'll notice, each page on the Quickfires only has one page of buttons, of options, so it kind of eliminates the extra navigation. So we've tried to put enough language in there that will allow them to engage, but not too much that's going to require lots of navigation and searching through. And each folder within the Quickfires is actually framed in a different colour. So this one you can see we're on social, greetings and social, and this is purple. But if I go on to personal needs, it'll be a different colour, my aphasia, a different colour. So again, just helping to kind of orientate ourselves as to where we are within our system. The next tool that we have is the whiteboard. So people with aphasia often benefit from written keywords, drawings, photographs, and all alongside kind of supporting their understanding and communicating messages. So the whiteboard provides these strategies to support their speech and overall communication success. It's essentially a digital version of a pen and paper. So I know a lot of us have done lots of kind of writing on whiteboards or bits of paper to support people with aphasia. So this kind of makes it a digital version of that. The advantage is that it's always available in that toolbar, and that you can also save some of the whiteboards that you've used. So if you've created one that has worked really well with that person with aphasia, and you maybe think that you want to use it again, you can actually save that and then just create another whiteboard. So it allows you to keep some of the tools that have been useful. So they can be used to do things like add more information and to maybe supplement the user's speech. You can do things like use different colours to emphasize questions, add photos, whatever kind of visual support will help that person with aphasia. And then we have the topics. Within the aphasia page set, you're going to have a choice of 2 different layouts for the topics. So you've got this kind of first option up here on the left-hand side, which is basically just grid-based, just like everything else. Or we have this option here, which is visual scene-based. And so what we recommend is when you maybe introduce these to the person with aphasia, that maybe you try both of these different layouts and see which suits them best. But we kind of recommend that you use one over the other. So if you think a visual scene works really well, then you can just use that one, and you can delete the kind of grid-based. So the visual scene will have a picture or a photo to represent that topic, or to provide maybe context to that topic. And we know that there's lots of evidence that says that visual scenes increase successful communication and interactions in people with aphasia. So what we've done is we've created a bunch of ready-made topics for you, and we've put in some examples of visual scenes. But what we highly recommend is that you use something that's more specific to that person. So if it's something about a family that you want to use a photo of their family or a picture of their family. It adds more kind of context for that person, but also might stimulate spoken language for that person as well. These can all be edited, and the messages within them can be used to initiate conversation or maybe to support continued interaction. And you notice we've put lots of different types of language in there. So things like there's some questions, there's some statements, some comments. So lots of different kind of options within there as well. Found within each of the topics, you'll also find these scripts, which I'll kind of show you in more detail. So these scripts provide opportunities to either practice the speech in familiar and routine situations. So it might be that we're getting ready to go somewhere, maybe to a shop or a restaurant, and we want to maybe practice some of our interactions. So we maybe want to use the script to allow us to practice what we're going to say, what might be said back to us. Or it might be actually that we want to use these scripts to actually engage in the interactions themselves. And I'll show you a little bit more about how that works when I kind of open it up. So the last tool I want to talk about is the rating scale. So these are quick and efficient and can be used in the kind of traditional sense of expressing pain or discomfort, or maybe to give an opinion. So maybe we've talked about, we're trying to talk about a TV program that we've watched, and we want to know, how did you feel about it? Did you love it? Would it be a 3? Did you really hate it? Or are you a bit indifferent? Would it be a 2? And so we've got several different layouts of these rating scales, and again, they can be customized, and they can be used in lots of different ways in terms of kind of modeling or using for, as I said, kind of giving opinions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come into the Snap Call First app itself and just kind of show you a little bit about these page sets. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about things like editing. We do have some previous sessions where we've talked about some of that in relation to Snap Call First, the app as a whole. So I will, in the follow-up email, send you some links that will give you some little how-tos. And of course, if you want some more information, please do get in touch with us. But I'm just going to concentrate on the tools that are specific to this page set. So we talked about the word list to begin with. And just something to kind of bear in mind, as we said, we access everything on this toolbar, which is on the left-hand side. You can actually switch that toolbar to the other side. So maybe if you've got somebody who's maybe dominant hand is their right hand, and maybe it would be better for them to have that menu on the other side, they can do that. But what this allows us to do is basically very quickly switch between different tools to engage in different types of communication. So if I start at the word lists again, and if I come into this example of drinks, What you'll notice is we have put in some examples, but the idea would be that you would personalize this for your the person that you're working with, or the person that you're supporting. So you would be able to come in and put something that's more specific. So maybe if they drink mint tea, or if they have espressos, you might want to put that in there. The spaces up here on the top are what we call related lists. So you can see here that we've got a related list for alcohol. So this is going to go into the kind of more in depth. And if I hit this back button, I'm going to go back into there and I'm going to show you the food example. So it's the same kind of layout. We've put some examples in here. And again, you've got these a related list that will go a little bit into more depth. So if we want to talk specifically about snacks and sweets, we'll go in here and we'll find some of those.
Ice cream, nuts.
And of course, we can personalize some of those. Again, remove things that maybe we don't eat, add some of our favorite stuff in there as well. It's all about, we've kind of given some ideas within there, but obviously we want to make sure that we can provide some vocabulary and language specific for our clients as well. So all of the word lists can be found on this word list page. And of course, we can add some of our own as well. So again, we've given you some kind of categories for inspiration, but there's some spaces down here where we can create some of our own. So maybe we want to have a specific word list around sports or shopping or something like that. We can put some of our own in there as well. Next, I'm going to open up Quickfires. So remember, these are going to be those kind of short words or phrases that are going to allow us to engage in conversation with those around us. So whether it's responding, commenting. And so up here across the top, we've got some different menus within Quickfires itself. So this first one is greetings and social. So we've got things like...
Yes. Goodbye. You're welcome. I don't understand. It's something else.
So you can see here, just with one button, we've got kind of a phrase behind it. And then you'll notice here that the background is purple, but as I switch to personal needs, we've now got this kind of yellowy, greeny colour. And again, we've got some more examples. So this is around...
I don't feel well. I want to lay down.
And then as we spoke about, we've got this menu here called My Aphasia that aims to support our people with aphasia to talk about their aphasia and to advocate. So it may be that they want to tell people.
I have aphasia.
Or that they want to ask for some support.
I want to use drawings. Please slow down. Think of another word for it.
So again, this is a really, really useful page to use. And we can obviously add to that if there's maybe some specific strategies that we want to talk about in there as well. And as I say, as I keep going through, you'll notice that the different menus have different colours. So again, it's the idea of just helping that person kind of orient to where they are and understand kind of which menu they're on. So next, I'm going to talk about this whiteboard. So within here, there's a couple of different things that I can do. So the first thing that I want to show you is adding an image. So if I click on this little button down here, I can do one of two things. I can either just take a photo there and then. So it might be that we want to talk about something that we can see. Or I can pick a photo that's maybe saved on my device. So I'm going to do that here. And let's pick a photo. This in. And I can do things like resize that photo, move it around. I'm going to put it over here. And then down here, I can use my pen to write. So I'm going to say this is Arnold. Sorry, my writing is very, very rubbish when I'm using a mouse. You might want to write some other things. So he's 6 months old. And I can use this to kind of highlight things. So I can say, no, this is Arnold. And yeah, I can basically use whatever would be useful to support that person. So whether it's using keywords, photos, circling specific parts of them. And as I mentioned, what's really good about this is that I can actually kind of save these. So if I found this was really useful and maybe we want to use it again in the future, but maybe I want to create a whole new whiteboard, I can just select new whiteboard here, and you'll see that it's just going to save those previous ones that I've done. So that can be really useful. So if you found a strategy that's really helped and that we want to keep that kind of visual support to bring back in and use another time, we absolutely can do that. So that's the whiteboard tool. And then we're going to look at the topics. So we talked about how there are two different layouts for the topics. So we've got this grid version, which is basically just a grid with lots of different topics in there. And then let's see if I select my aphasia. Here I've just got some buttons on there with different bits of communication around my aphasia. So again,
please say it again. Please ask me yes and no questions.
And you can see here again, we've picked some different topics that are kind of specifically relevant to those people that we might be working with. So we've got a topic around therapy, where they can do things like...
What are we doing today? It is working.
Or maybe around going to the restaurant. And so you'll notice within each of the topics, we've got these scripts. So as I mentioned earlier, what these scripts will allow us to do is maybe practice some speech. So maybe we are going to the restaurant and maybe we want to be able to order our own food or, communicate with our waiter or waitress. And we maybe want to practice that. And so what we've got here is some kind of ready-made sentences that we're going to practice.
I am ready to order. I would like add food.
And we can personalize this. So, I might want to choose my order so that I know what I'm asking for, say that I want to eat in. And as I said, we can either use this as a practice, so maybe it's somebody that wants to practice their speech, or it could be that if somebody would really like to engage, but maybe doesn't want to use their speech or finds it too difficult, then actually maybe we could just use this as a replacement of their speech in this instance. So they could actually be pressing the buttons and communicating as they are engaging at the restaurant. So again, you can personalize these scripts, so we can maybe put something else down. So it might be potentially, let's say that somebody wants to phone their grandson or their granddaughter to wish them happy birthday. And maybe it's something they used to do a lot of and they'd like to do again. Maybe we are going to prepare a script that will have the language in there to prompt them or allow them to engage in that conversation with one of their loved ones. So that's the kind of the grid layout. But we also have this visual scene layout. So it's going to be the same in the sense that we've got the kind of different topics. But this time we're going to have kind of a visual reminder in there that's going to kind of prompt that. So in here, it's talking about family. So I've actually replaced this picture with a picture of my family because it's, placing it into context for me. I can visually see the different members of my family that I might want to talk about. It might trigger some kind of memories or thoughts about them that I want to talk about. So in here we'll have the visual stimulus, and then around here we will have again some language. So
my family lives in Hull. Tell me about your family. I have children. I am married.
And again, we've got that script from there. And then if I go down to the bottom below script, it's going to have some more kind of specific vocabulary around that topic as well. So in here, we've got things like family words. We, of course, always have access to a keyboard. So it may be that some of the people that we're working with might be able to actually type some words. And so they might actually find it a little bit easier to write out what they're trying to say, as opposed to saying it. And they can, of course, either use the whiteboard if they find that easier to use their finger, if they're using something like an iPad. Or if it's somebody that's, you know, got those typing skills, and they might actually want to use a keyboard. And we've got a few different layouts, and this is the ABC keyboard, but we've got QWERTY and a couple of others. And what you'll see here is that as I start typing, it's also going to start predicting what I might be writing. But it's also got kind of symbol prediction alongside with that. So it might just be that I can only remember a couple of letters, but as it's starting to predict, I can remember
family.
Family is the word that I'm looking for. So again, another really useful tool to all kind of adding into that multimodal, right? We've got lots and lots of different ways to kind of engage. If I come into the dashboard, what we've got here is a couple of different tools that allow us to do things like it'll tell me what day it is, what the date is, what time is. But we've also got a couple of other things. So we've got these calendars in here. So we've got things like this that will allow us to kind of look at our daily activities. So maybe we want to support our people with aphasia to kind of plan out their day and understand what's going to be kind of happening when. We've got these kind of weekly schedules as well. So again, we can maybe just plan out things like, you know, when they've got to go to therapy, when their carers are going to be coming, when the family is going to visit, and we can plot some of those into there. And then we've got kind of yearly calendars as well. So we might want to have a look at, okay, so May, what's coming up in May, what day is when. So again, really, really useful tools to kind of support planning and understanding of what's going to be happening next. And then a really lovely other tool that we've got, these photo albums. So what we can do here is effectively create some nice visuals that again will allow us to maybe talk about some of our favourite things. So in here I've got one around the family, and again I've put in some personalised pictures. And I might want to, you know, add some text to it so that we can talk about some of our favourite things. So again, let's say I wanted to add some text into here, I'm just going to go into my edit button. I'm just going to change this to my nephews niece. Oops, click done. And then
these are my nephews and my niece.
And I can talk about that picture. So it could be anything really. It might be that we want to talk about some of our loved ones, some of our favourite activities, maybe some of the places that we've travelled. So we can create some really nice photo albums. Again, there's another tool to help us engage in kind of conversation. So last thing I want to talk about are these rating scales. So as I mentioned, we've got some different layouts. So we've got these ones. So this is just a really nice, simple 3-point scale with the kind of visual symbols up there to kind of remind us of 3 being the better option versus 1 being the lowest option. So again, we could use these in the context of, you know, how are you feeling today? And they can maybe point or tell us, or it might be, oh, I know that you watched EastEnders last night. What did you think about it?
3.
I liked it. I thought it was a 3. What did you think? And then you can engage that way. So we've got that layout. We've got the same kind of layout, but with 5 options. And of course, we can use some different symbols in there as well. If we thought that we maybe wanted some better visual representations. And then we've got these ones that, again, slightly different. It's got a little bit more kind of visual support in there. And we've got a 5 points. And then this one, I think, is a 10 points in there as well. So lots to kind of play around with. And obviously, you can personalize some of these. But we know that rating scales can be such a useful tool for people with aphasia. And there's lots and lots of different ways in which we can use these. So that was everything for today around this. I'm just going to very quickly switch back into my PowerPoint because I want to show you a couple more bits just before we finish. Here, switch this around. There we go. So we've got some really useful resources on our website. I'm going to ask John to put the link in the chat right now, but I'll also put the link in the video. Once you go onto that page and you scroll down, there'll be lots of information about the page set itself. But if we scroll down to the bottom or nearest to the bottom, there's a section called Additional Resources. And here you'll find some really useful training cards for the very specific to the SNAP aphasia page sets. And these are actually going to include some activities. So maybe something that you can try out in therapy or as a practice with maybe somebody that's using this app. And you can go ahead and download and print those training cards off. We've also got a really useful interest inventory, so it can maybe help you to understand the topics that are most engaging for this person, and we can maybe kind of decide on what we want to concentrate on in terms of personalising our system. And then we've got a therapy guide in there as well. So it gives you some really nice tools around kind of activities that we can do and engaging in therapy with people with aphasia. We've then got a lovely section down the bottom that actually looks at some articles. So kind of draws on some of the background and research as to kind of some of the reasons as to why we use certain tools. And then there are also some implementation guides that might be really useful. So there's a needs assessment. There's a section around communication partner techniques and a couple of other strategies. And we've also got, I think it's a 3 or 4 part podcast series that looks specifically at supporting people with aphasia.